Hi. Okay, we're a little tiny bit early, but it gives me time to get the setup. Set up. Okay. Happy rainy Saturday. I think this is a wonderful way to spend time on a rainy day decorating cards. And I'm going to add some light so we have plenty of light. Okay. Now let's see. A few things I wanted to bring up. This is the card we'll be starting on, but there's been a change in the works for Stampin' Up! And I finally have an example. They're changing the stamp sets from these containers into these, which are considerably flatter. And there's a few things about it. The die set also comes in a similar size. So it would take, they're saying it'll take less space. I'm still adjusting to it, but I wanted to let you know that the new stamp sets will be coming like this. But the ones that they still have in stock will continue to come as they are. I just happened to get the Petals of Beauty, which was an online exclusive. And it is the first one I've gotten like this. I went ahead and I copied the set of dies, which is full size. I liked it better than the diagram they had here. But one of the hints that I got in listening to other people are doing is for the stamp set. They didn't have a stamped inside. So what I've done is I actually took, let's see if I can peel them off. They're very sticky. I actually took and stamped them as they were. I inked it up and stamped it, and then I took the protective plastic coating that was on it, and I put it over the stamped things so that when you use them, you can take it and you can line them up with the stamped image. So that way you can know at a glance whether or not you are missing any of your stamps. That was one hint I think was valid. I'm still, like I said, adjusting. I haven't got a final solution. Some people suggested not tucking the plastic in, but tucking it behind so you can get to it faster. I'm not at that stage yet, but I do like continuing to photocopy the dies themselves, which gives me the full size of the dies. And I think it's easier to choose from than the smaller picture. That's just what's up and coming. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on chit chat. Let's see. How are we doing? All right. Well, I do know we're into November. This will be my last card class for this year. And I feel like we still have time to get our Christmas cards done. This is our first card that we'll be doing. It's a top opening, so it opens like this. And then in this case, what I did was I used some remains of a die cut that I was using. I was getting the, what do you call it? Hoop. It's not a hoop. Arch. The arch dies. I was using the arch dice to get some gold arches. And I had these pieces left over. And I thought, well, they'll work for the inside of the card. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you ideas to make use of both pieces, make more use of what you've got. Okay, so in getting started, you have your kit. And I put the little small things in a plastic envelope because that helps corral them, because it's so easy for things to get lost. I'm leaving this here so you can see it. Let's see if I move it down a little bit. There. Okay. And what we're going to do, this is our card base. I use thick white cardstock this time. Make sure, that the front is towards you. I always gauge if it's a little bit longer on the edge, that becomes the front. We're going to start working with this red layer here. And we're going to take the blue pattern, in this case, the blue pattern, and we're going to glue it down on this side. And then we're going to be taking the floral pattern side of it, and we're going to glue it down over here. And I'm only leaving like a 1/16 of an inch border around. So these two will butt up against each other. And then we'll be taking the ribbon and we will be laying it over, and we will be adhering it to the back, and then we can put it on the front of the card. So that's just a few steps ahead of what we're doing. Okay, let's get started. I'm using the Tombow glue. I like the way that it gives me a little leeway as far as aligning things after I get it down, because I usually need to do a little adjusting. I leave a little border between the edge of the paper and the glue to allow for that adjustment. And then I'm going to put it on, leaving about a 1/16 of an inch. And then I'm going to do the same with this strip. As you can see, it's the same paper, just the other side of it. And I'm going to put it on, lining it up and allowing that 1/16 of an inch. Now, here is where using grid paper can be helpful. I'm going to remove my calendar out of here. Now, Stampin' Up! Does have a glass mat that already has a grid on it, and you're certainly welcome to get it. It comes with a kit for embossing, and not embossing. It comes with a kit that has a mat where you can place your stamp pads and things like that. But I already had this in work, and I haven't invested in that yet. Now I'm going to take, and I'm going to use, maybe it'd be easier to go this way. Okay, line this up with the line. And then I know this goes here. So it needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4, about the 5th line up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this over. And in this case, if I can find one, I'm going to use my tape runner. Line this up with a line. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so about there. I'm adding glue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. I'm adding glue. And that should allow me to take my ribbon. And the ribbon I gave you, I don't think there is a right or wrong side. They both sides look good. But I'm lining it up directly over the line between the two. Okay, once that's down and that catches there, we're in good shape. And then we can take and add this to the front of the card, which is what I'm going to do now. Again, I'm using the liquid glue. All right. And again, it's a narrow 1/16 inch border all around. I just even it up. And that's what I love the glue for. Okay, now I'm going to add a little weight to this just to help it adhere well. And I'm going to push it to the side for the moment. And you can see by our sample card that I have a red die cut circle from the Spotlight on Nature. And I had a white, also Spotlight on Nature die cut. And what I did was I in my case, stamped and heat embossed with gold embossing powder the sentiment. And I went ahead and did that ahead of time. You don't have to do that. You can just stamp it directly. But I went ahead and did that so we were ready. Heat embossing is a fun way to make your sentiment stand out. And I just enjoy doing it. I also tend to prefer to stamp my sentiments and then do my die cutting so that I know my sentiments are centered. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to add some glue. And notice I'm kind of avoiding the edges because sometimes, and you can see it just barely, sometimes they actually pierce the paper. And if I were to put it on that cut edge, then you could possibly have glue seepage, which could become sticky. Okay. I got that pretty much centered. I'm going to add the weight there for right now. Now I used dimensionals on this piece here, which was die cut from the beautiful Designer Series paper. I also have a branch that was die cut from gold foil. And I have the 2 holly leaves, which I kind of spread out like that. Oh, I got some extra holly leaves because we're going to use some inside. Okay, only need 2 for the front. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, I want to keep this where you can see it if I can. So I'm just, while I'm waiting, well, that's probably set now, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is add dimensionals. And dimensionals come in 2 sizes. There's the larger size. As you can see, these are bigger, and then the tiny ones. And the tiny ones I use for the smaller areas. I want to make sure that they get some support, and the larger areas are easy enough for the big ones. Okay, one more. And if you want, you can add a couple smaller ones down there. Okay, now dimensionals come in white, and they also come in black. And the black, if you can see, is covered over by the protective coloring. I use the black when I'm working with dark and I don't want the white to jump out at you. We're going to take this sentiment and we're going to kind of line it up more towards the middle, close to the edge, overlapping the 2 Designer Series papers and the ribbon. And I'm going to just add the glue again. Now, for those of you, I had one of you mention you didn't know what these things were for. They're funny little gadgets. They come in different shapes, but the object is to hold your glue so that it's facing down so the glue stays to the tip, and then they're easy to grab. Okay, and then I'm going to just kind of assemble this. Let's see, I think I want to do this next. All right, so that one. Now, when I'm faced with some of these detailed designs, sometimes I just add dots of glue, and sometimes to the edges, because I don't want excess glue. Again, I could get sticky, but I just want to get enough on there that'll hold in place. And then sometimes when I'm working with smaller details, I'll use my reverse tweezers to let me hold on to it and be able to see where it's going before I actually place it down. Okay, now this one we want to add a little glue. The way you tell the back or the front from the die cuts is on the front, it's smoother. On the back, you'll feel the rougher edges, and that's the part I'm going to add the glue to, is the back. Now, the glue is pretty strong, so you don't always need a lot of it, but I just wanted enough to make sure we get good adhesion. Well, again, I'm feeling, this is the back. Okay, and in this case, you might want to add a little more pressure, but we're almost done. Okay, now we're going to put those guys in there, and we're ready to move to the inside of the card. I'm removing the backing from the dimensionals. I did have a person mention that they had trouble getting the backing off, and so I was going to try to show you how you can use the take a pick tool to kind of pierce it and get it off. Now, I haven't done that much, so I'm not overly experienced doing it. I tend to rely on my nails a lot, but I've seen a lot of people do it and do it easily, not with as much struggle as I just had. Okay. Again, I'm using the reverse tweezers because it helps me with my placement. And I want this. I don't want to hide my sentiment. Okay. There we are with the front of the card. Now we're going to go to the inside. And what I did was I went ahead and I stamped the sentiment ahead of time. But you can do this. Just kind of get this lined up. Again, you can kind of feel where the die cut is, the rough edges. And I'm going to put this on. And I add a little extra where the curve is. Okay. And I'm going to turn around and I'm going to place it on here. Just kind of make the borders even. And actually, by doing it this way, it gives you a chance to better place your sentiment when you put it on there. And then I'm going to add the remaining leaves. And I've got one berry that's being difficult. There we go. And these we'll be using on the front. I'm just going to add the leaves and then add the berries. Now, this is another time, we can open this up so you can see. This is another time where I tend to use my tweezers for placement. I get a rough idea where I want it, and then I add the glue. I want to make sure that it is below the score line so it won't interfere with the folding. And I'm trying to leave enough space for the berries, which is another reason for the take a pick tool. On this end, they have a gummy substance which works well to pick up small device or small items. I'm just putting a little dot of glue, and I'm going to put that up here. Okay, and then I'm going to get the next one. Put a dot. Okay, and one more. Put a dot. Okay, now we have, whoops, that one didn't stay. All right, back to the drawing board. Bigger dot of glue. Okay. There we go. And then you can stamp your sentiment in here. All right, that's the inside. Let's finish the outside. We have these 3 embellishments, and I'm just going to use the take a pick tool again. I generally keep the gummy end covered so it doesn't dry out. And then I'm going to pick up with the pointy end. I'm going to pick up the embellishment. Sometimes they like to run and hide, and add them to the front of the card. Now, it's a small thing, but it just makes that much of a difference that I think it's really worthwhile having them. Just a little extra. And there you have your first card done, except for you want to stamp the sentiment on the inside, and you are ready to go. And it makes me so happy to be able to get these cards done. Okay, that was, I called it the Traditions of Christmas top opening card. The next one is a easel card. It opens like this, but it also folds and is propped up like that, so it becomes a display card. Now, in this case, I used, if I can find it real quick, I used the traditional labels, stamps, season's greetings right here. See how it's kind of curved? And then I use this as the banner. But because I can't be sure you guys have those, I couldn't do this stamping for you. And because it's curved, I figured I better give you a straight one. So we did it a little bit different. But I want you aware that they have many beautiful dies and stamps to go with them that you can use. So just because I use this one doesn't mean it's the only way to go. Let me get the set here. And my instructions there. Okay. So in the kit, again, using the Traditions of Christmas beautiful paper, which is back in stock if you missed my post. Okay. I uncover that. We're going to start with a card base. Okay. And then we're going to fold. The card base is it's scored in half, but you're going to have another score line down here. Let's see. Do you have that done? I think I did them all. If for some reason you don't have this, the card base, this was scored at 2 3/4. And of course, half of 11 is 5.5, and that's half. That's where I scored it. So you want to make sure that that's a mountain fold right there. Okay. And then we have 2 sentiment die cuts for this card. We have the larger one and a smaller one. The larger one is what I'm going to be using on the front. And the smaller one is the one we'll be using inside as the stopper for the easel. Okay. I suggested you find sentiments ahead of time to do your stamping because I didn't know what you had available and I wanted to give you a chance to find it. Okay, so after the card base, I'm going to go ahead and stamp this. I used Real Red. And because we are working with photopolymer stamps, which you can see through, I'm going to use my mat. Now, in this case, the mat worked out great because the stamp fits on the die cut. But generally, as I've said before, I prefer to, let me concentrate for a moment. I prefer to stamp my sentiment first and then die cut. But being able to see through the stamp makes it so much easier for placement. Years ago, that was really a challenge. Now, my habit has been, because the photopolymer tends to stain, I usually, especially when I'm using red, I try to clean it right away. That's just a habit I've gotten into. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use this one here already stamped and move this out of the way. Okay, so I have my 2 sentiments stamped. Move them down here. Okay. And then I need to put my goodies together. Okay, so I want to glue the gold foil to the red die cut. And I'm going to do that real quick. And what I'm doing is I am putting it on there, but I'm trying to set it so the border is even all around, if you can see that. And then I'm going to use the weight again so that it gets good adhesion. And while I do that, I'm going to work on the card front. And I'm going to take this piece of Designer Series paper and I'm going to put it down at the bottom, again, leaving a small 1/16 of an inch border around. And again, I'm happy to have the glue, liquid glue, so I can adjust so that my borders are even all around. Okay, now I'm going to let that set for a moment. I am going to be using the green. And let's see, I think I did, yeah, I did dimensionals on that. I'm going to glue the green flat, just kind of the background. And then I'm going to be adding this with dimensionals on front of it. So let's get started with that. Again, I feel, and the rough side is the back side. And I just add my glue. Now, again, I'm just kind of doing dots because I don't want a lot of glue seepage. And then a little bit down here. I might cut this off. We'll see. Okay, using my tweezers helps me place it. And I can see right now I am going to clip a little bit off of that. I don't want it quite that long. Doop. Okay. And then I'm going to add dimensionals. Small ones in the small spots and bigger ones in the bigger spots. Okay, and in this case, I think I do want to add. Now, here's something else you can do. I want to add a little bit down here because it's going to be over here. So I'm going to take this pair of scissors and snip a narrow strip from the side of the dimensional, because that way I can lay it in. Sorry about the shading, but I can lay it in this little bottom section here to give it extra support. Okay. And then we're going to remove protective coverings. Again, I use my nails, but some people have trouble with that, so they use the take a pick tool. Oh, there's something else I want to mention with this particular one. You wouldn't necessarily see it from the front, but actually on the paper, at the top and the bottom and sides, parts of the designs may be cut off. And this happened to be at the bottom. And so actually it was cut off right there. And this part was up the top and it was cut up higher up there. And what I did was I die cut the two pieces and then aligned them together so they look just perfectly fine and getting more use out of your paper. Okay. And then for this, I'm going to be adding dimensionals on the ends, and I'm just going to use glue in the middle because this is raised up, this part isn't. Dab of glue in the middle. Come on, there. Okay, and then remove the protective covering. And then as it turns out, where you position it, you can actually position it right over the area where the matching or the joining took place. I want to center this. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Put this back. I love to put things away because then I can find them when I need them again. Now, for the inside, that's this piece. We're actually going to do a strip, the narrower strip along the bottom. And what I decided I like better is to have it right at the edge, maybe a little bit of border on each side, but right at the edge, which is what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to add, but in this case, because the strip is so narrow, I'm using the really fine tip glue bottle, which I transferred the Tombow glue into, and then it gives me better control. And again, I like to do the dotting. It helps me not do too much. Okay. Right there. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Even the edges a bit. Okay. Okay. That will go here at the top. Which is what I'm going to do now. All right, let's get you in there. Again, narrow border. Okay. Now remember this other sentiment? I'm going to add dimensionals to it. I'm going to do 3. 1 on each end and 1 in the middle. I want it nice and sturdy. It's going to be going right there, but before I do that, I want to add this strip down here, the thicker of the 2 strips. Again, narrow border. Okay, now if you followed my directions, you would have already fussy cut this picture from the designer series paper. I didn't stop to do that, so I'm going to do it now. Now, one of the suggestions they have is it's easier to actually turn the paper than to try and turn the scissors all the different directions. And so far, I found that to be good advice. I thank you for joining me today. Like I said earlier, it's I think a perfect way to spend a rainy day crafting cards. We need the rain, and I take like the excuse, crafting cards or curling up with a book. Because it's Christmas time, I think we need to get our Christmas cards done. So I'm happy to craft cards. And every card I get done is another card towards the stash I've got building so I can send out my Christmas cards. Okay, there we are, Fussy Cut. Get our little messes tossed. Okay. Now, I'm going to be taking and putting this down here. And I'm going to be putting this up here. Right there. So that helps me adjust this to where I need it to be. Okay, I'm going to center this first. I'll move it a little closer to me so I can see better what I'm doing. I'm not pressing it down yet. I'm just kind of placing it. It is sticky, so I want it kind of centered there. And then for this, I'm going to add the glue. I'm going to use the fine tip bottle again. I'm going to add the glue. Okay. See, I want that on here. I want it within the borders. And I want it so it doesn't interfere with the stopper. Okay, now we are ready to put this on. Okay. Basically, I'm just going to center it down here. Or actually, I'm centering it on the whole card, so it'll be a little bit more space at the bottom. But I only want, this is where the sentiment will be giving me a guide. I don't want to go beyond the top of the sentiment. So there we go. Gives me a good guide. Again, you notice the die cut also put holes on the edge. So you want to make sure you don't go over those holes. And then I'm going to take and kind of center it. Both sides even. And I want it to look straight. I'm going to let that set for a minute. And while I'm letting it sit, I'm going to use these to add a little sparkle. I kind of no, I don't want it there. Come on. These tiny things are why the tool is so helpful. And it's amazing how just that little bit of sparkle adds that something extra that makes it so much better. Okay, let's see if we can show you. See the sparkles? Okay, and then we're going to do the same on the inside. We are going to add the bigger gold one to the center of that poinsettia. See how it makes it pop? And then this is just that little extra touch. Like, see, I'm here too. And then you fold your card like that, and you have your completed card. I think that is so awesome. I love display cards, and I love how you can make fancy cards that are like three-dimensional, but will fold flat so you can mail them. That was our card number 2. Okay, moving on. Now, this next card, oh, let me get it out. This is a fun card. Here's my kit. My instructions over here. I've seen these before. This is called a shutter card, but this is the first time I actually worked on putting one together, and I just love the results. The shutter opening and closing like that. Now, I used the Nest of Winter paper. When I got mine, I saw that, or I had a stock of it because I liked the paper and I ordered extra, but I saw that they had it on the in the online exclusives, and I was able to know that it's available for you if you wanted to use it to make more cards. But I wanted to point out, this is not the only way you can use this card. I was experimenting with scraps I had. I had a bit of holographic foil, and I had the tree embossing folder from last year, which I happen to love. And I thought, oh, that would look good with the tree paper. Also, it opens up so beautifully. You have your greeting, and I just wanted to point out here I used little bits and pieces from when I die cut the snowflakes also out of holographic paper. Um, I saved the little pieces, and it just adds a little extra something. So you can sometimes make your own embellishments. That's a second example. But I want to see how it would work with like a birthday card. And so I use the, oh, what is it called? Winter Regal paper, which is paper I happen to love. And I was playing around with some other die cuts I already had. And I went and I used it for this birthday card. And here we go. And I thought it turned out really nice for like a wintry birthday card. I plan on doing this a lot more. I just only have so much time, and that's only as far as I got. But this card's already got a name on it as far as where it's going. But I wanted to show this to you because I want you to think beyond just the cards that I'm showing you, but the possibilities that you have with what you have in hand. Now I want to, okay, this is the one where you need to do some scoring if you wish. On your card base, I'm getting all my parts and pieces out now. Okay, on your card base, I have already scored it on one side at 2 1/8. Okay, I already scored it. Now, you can go ahead and use your paper trimmer or scoring tool and score it at the same distance, 2 1/8, on the other side. But the suggestion that I heard, which I'm sharing with you now, is sometimes when you do that, even if you're being careful, sometimes there's a little gap that remains. This way, if you take it and you fold the one side and then you curve this to meet the folded piece and then burnish it, you know it'll meet in the center as it should. You know, make sure that it's aligned properly, and you just burnish it well, and you've got your fold right in the center together. That's the first part. Now we're going to take these strips of paper and we are going to apply them to the front and the back of each of these folds. I didn't think I was going to be running out that soon. I've been going through a lot of glue. Trying to get it all done. You're going to have a narrow border again, 1/16 of an inch. So the score lines kind of guide you, and you get it there. Going to do the same on the back side. Whenever you get an extra big blob of glue, I sometimes use the tip to kind of spread it out. You can also use a piece of scratch paper to take up the extra. And I'm looking and seeing that it's balanced, and then I'm going to work on the next side. Okay, and the last side. Now, one thing nice about this paper, it's not directional, so you don't have to worry about which direction it's facing. I never will forget the time I was teaching someone how to make a gift bag, and they put their paper on upside down. The paper happened to be ducks. And when I saw it, and I said, uh-oh, he says, well, ducks fly south in the winter. Okay, I'll let it be. Okay, so while that's kind of setting up, I'm going to put a little weight on it. We're going to line up the front piece, which is the die cut from Spotlight on Nature, and a die cut. It actually was the largest of the, what's it called? Standard die set. I can't think of the name right now. But you can choose, depending on what picture you want to die cut, you can choose, smaller dies. The Spotlight on Nature has a series, graduating sizes. So you can pick maybe what size you need for your picture and then choose a die that will work with it. Now this is for the inside sentiment. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp it. One of the nice things about circles is that, let's kind of find the right stamp and the right ink pad. I used Coastal Cabana because of the cardstock I was using was Coastal Cabana. And I used Coastal Cabana cardstock because it sort of is like the color on the birds. Okay, and I'm going to simply stamp this. This happened to be a punch. Did I mention the size? No, I didn't. Let's see. Well, The nice thing about a circle is that you can rotate it if it's not straight like you want it. Okay, so that part's done. That's going to go on the inside. Okay. Now we're going to work on what's called the bridge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this designer series paper and I'm going to glue it to the front of the bridge, leaving again a small 1/16 inch border around the edge. Isn't that paper pretty? I just thought that paper was so pretty when it came out. I've had a lot of fun with this paper. So I was happy when they continued it. Again, the liquid glue allows me to adjust as needed. And I'm going to use this to kind of help it adhere properly. And we are going to go to work. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. We'll be cutting it a circle out of it, but first let's get it dry. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to move a little forward. The shutter pieces. Second paragraph. Okay. Let me move this aside for the moment. And get my paper trimmer. Okay, this is the Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer. I don't know what paper trimmer you might have, but this is the guide and the track where you do your cutting, or with a gray blade, you do your scoring. What we're going to do now, these are the two pieces for the shutter. I've actually scored 1/2 inch on the, so this was a 4, yeah, it was a 4-inch side. I believe that's 4-inch. Double check. Yeah, 4-inch side, and then the other side was 3.5 inches. And I took a 1/2 inch of that and I scored it. So you now have a 3.5 inch square for both of these. And you want to make sure that they are burnished well, because this will become your mechanism for the shutter. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to find the middle. And in order to do that, on the 4-inch side, 1/2 of 4 is 2. So I'm lining it up with the 2 on the paper trimmer, and approximately in the middle, I'm taking a pencil, and in this track, I'm making a line. And that shows the middle of the 4. Now this is 3.5, so 1/2 of 3 would be 1.5, but another 1/2 inch would be 1/4 of an inch, so it would be 2, it'd be 1 3/4. Okay, and then I'm going to make another mark this way. Now, where that crosses, that shows you where the middle of the card is. What we're going to do is we are going to take and line the tip with the track and then approximate where that section where they cross is, and you can actually look through your paper trimmer and adjust it slightly so it's right there. And make sure that that tip stays in the center of the track. It's pretty good. All right. And then you're going to take and you are going to cut just to that center mark. And then I didn't move it. I just looked to see. All right. So I've got it where I want it to go. I'm going to do the same thing. Note, I'm doing it on the side, not the side with the fold, but the side, other side. Okay. Line up that edge in the track. See if the cross is in the middle, and then bring it right up to it. There you go. You have your shutter. Now we can turn it this way so you don't have to see the pencil marks, or if you want, you can erase it. You're going to do the same thing on the other card. And what I like about this is that the practice helps you remember. So one of my suggestions when you go through my classes is don't just settle for making the one card. If you like the card, I suggest you go ahead and make a second card as soon as possible to help you remember the steps for making the card. Because even though you think you remember, my experience has been not always. Okay, I'm lining this up. I'm trying to line that up. I'm getting this in the line. Okay, let's see. Is that? Nope, it's not. I'm going to move it over a little bit. Okay, I got to make sure the edge stays in the track. Let's make sure. Looks almost good. There we go. And I'm going to go straight to that line. I open it to see a little tiny smidge further. There. Woot. All right, next, other side. Line it there. Move this here. Let's see. Yep, we're good. Okay, good. And we have our two sides of the shutter made. You can save the scraps as you want. If you do die cutting and want glue scraps, that's up to you. Now this has had a chance to set. And on the back of this bridge, we're going to add dimensionals. 1, 2, 3. We want the height on both edges, 3. We want the height so that the mechanism, the shutters, will be able to slide for you. But when we're putting this on, we do not want to remove, like this will be the bottom. We can remove the protective covering from the bottom, but we do not want to remove the top yet because we need to be able to get in there. And then the other thing I can suggest, and I moved it around. Where did I put it? Here. Found one. Okay. I used, I think it was a 2 3/8 punch. You can use a die cut if you have one, or if you don't have the punch. But what you can do is you can, I've taken one I've already punched. I'm using it as a template to see where it is. I want it kind of centered. Okay. And then I'm going to take a pencil and draw around the edge to help me line it up in my punch. Now that's very faint, so I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it. I think it well enough that we can do it. Okay, so I'm slipping this in here and I'm looking at the pencil marks and I'm trying to line them up. Oop, I bumped it. All right. There we go. Now our card base here, we're going to add this. I'm taking it off the bottom and then I'm going to try and place it evenly. I want it right at the edge and then it'll be at the edge of the top as well. Okay, that's the first part. Now the next part is our shutter. Now, you're going to be putting the shutter in and you can do one layer over the top of the other one if you want. I liked it when the shutter overlapped like this. I like that. I just happen to like it better. So that's what I'm going to do. And I want it kind of centered. But see how this folds? I want it so that it's near the score line, but not interfering with it. And this side, I want the same. Okay, that's basically what we're going to do. But what I did is you want a good adhesive. And I took Tear Tape and I put it on the edge. It's a little easier to do that before it's in position. Okay. You can use Tape Runner. There's one. One of the things nice about Tear Tape is you can tear it. Okay. Then you burnish it well so you have a good adhesion. All right. I'm going to slip one in. I'm going to slip the other one in, overlap one side and not the other side. Okay, they kind of meet in the middle. I think I want to do it the other way. Yeah, come on. Over here, under there. There, that's better. Okay. And then I want them lined up, the two edges, so they're even. And I want them placed next to the score line, but not interfering with the score line. Sometimes it helps if you just kind of fold it a little. See, that's bringing it in a little bit. Oh, I know why. I know why. Okay. All right. And then here again, I'm going to demonstrate with a Take a Pick tool. I usually use my nails, but you can take it and release the protective covering. And then you're looking to see that it's kind of even on both sides. All right. And then fold it down. and it picks it up, brings it over. Okay, we're going to do the same thing over here. Looking at where they line up, looking at how it's attached here. Okay, next to, but not over that score line. Like I said, I usually use my nails. But I wanted to show you an easier way if it was a problem for you. Okay. And there we have it. Okay, both opens. All right. Now, here's where that sentiment comes in. And what you do, this is the circle that I punched and I stamped the sentiment on it. In this case, I'm just going to use tape runner. I'm using tape runner instead of liquid glue because the tape runner, well, it isn't liquidy. It's not easy for it to smear. It is sticky, but it's not so easy to smear. And then I'm adding a good dose of tape runner to the back of this. And then I'm going to use my bone folder. You can use your fingers if you're comfortable with that. But I'm going to use my bone folder and I'm going to feed it down between where the shutters open. And when I've got it centered the way I like it, I'll press down on it and remove the, okay, what's going on here? Okay. We might have a little resistance. Let's see what's going on. There. If you do run into a little resistance, you can cut that tip. I'm going to cut a little more. Okay. You can cut that tip. Okay. For some reason, that one was fighting me. All right. So, now you have your shutter going. Okay, once that's done, then you can gently bend this, remove the protective covering off the top dimensionals. And then press it down. So fun. All right, here we are, back to the front again. We are going to put the birds on, but we're only going to adhere it on one side. And I'm trying to remember. Yes, I did dimensionals. Okay. So, kind of eyeball it. I'm only going to put dimensionals on the one side. I want the regular size dimensionals. Somebody didn't put them back where they belong. Who would that be? And then I cover it over. Okay. All right, let's make sure we got going in the right direction. All right, so that's the side there and there and there. I can do one more, I think. There. Oh, wait a minute. Did I do that right? Went higher. Or there. Okay. Uh-oh. Let's see. Did I go too far over? No, there we are. All right. All right. Lost my screen for a minute. Okay, so what I'm doing, and I'm going to use my reverse tweezers again because it lets me see better. I'm going to kind of center it, lay it down. Going to make sure no dimensionals are showing. Opens up like it's supposed to. And then I'm ready to add my sentiment, which I had here. Okay. Now, I gave you a die cut, and I gave it to you with the instructions, find the greeting that'll fit, which is what I did. Um, there are other possibilities, obviously, and they're very tempting, but I'm going to stick with this. And I'm just going to add it flat. I'm just going to bring it in here like that. So I'm just going to use some glue. I'm going to just mostly focus on the center because I don't want to get glue on the edges of the die cut. I just want it kind of there. Make sure you got it even the way you want it. And now we are ready to open this packet. And in this packet are some goodies. And I had trouble with the packet staying closed, so I made it a little more secure, which probably means it's going to have to cut into it to open it. All right. And then we can cut this way. I just didn't want things falling out. All right. And one more. Oh, one more. There we go. In your packet. Oh, I see one thing. Let's see. All right. We have 2 snowflakes and some berries. I'm going to bring the original card back here. I just added the berry cluster because I thought it echoed what was on the paper. And I put some there. And I put some down here. And then one more. Here's where that take a pic comes in handy again with small things. I think I went down further. There. Okay. And then inside, I gave you the snowflakes. What I did for the inside of this one was I put one snowflake there and I put one snowflake down there. So you put the snowflakes where it appeals to you. Aha. And I got a little extra here. I'll see what I can do with it. The snowflake, when I die cut, you have these little pieces, and sometimes they can come in handy. Right now, I'm going to take that reverse tweezer. I'm going to grab hold. I'm going to use my fine tip pen. I'm not going to put a lot of glue, just a dab. There we go. I'm going to add it over here. Now, what I did was, oh, come on, stay put. What I did was I used pieces I already had previously, because a lot of times when I'm making cards, I'll cut extra pieces, especially if they're small like this and they have, well, like this is holographic paper. It's kind of special. And then here's where, I don't know if I can do it. We'll try. Okay, let's see. There was 2 of them. I had a little piece come out of, oh, being difficult you are. Okay. I'm going to put just a little tiny dot of glue And then I'm going to try and add this little tiny piece that came out from my snowflake die cut. See if I can get it to stay. It's so tiny, it's really hard to do. Yeah, I may not be able to do it. Takes more patience than I think I have right now. We'll work on that later. Okay. But basically, there you have your card. You have the front and you have the inside. I added some snowflakes to add some additional decorations. You can add whatever you like. Like I said, I use a lot of scraps, maybe left over from previous things. Basically, I'm trying to clear my clutter, use what I have. If you have little pieces like this, I don't know if you can see that, and you can manage to get them to add on, that's good too. One of the tricks I've learned is that you can add a dot of the Tombow glue maybe to the back of something like this and let it dry, and then it remains sticky. That's the Tombow trait. But then you can pick it up like you do with the dimensionals we get from Stampin' Up! And apply it. Oh, look at here. I found a bigger piece. Ooh. Okay, maybe we can do something with that. Don't know where that came from, but we're going to try. Okay, let's get in here. Same spot. Boop. It's big enough I can grab a hold of it and hopefully keep it in place. There we go. Okay, there's one. Oop. Okay. Anyway, like I said, that was card number 3. This last card is not nearly as involved. And I'm going to save those 2 pieces, little tiny pieces. Maybe I can add them later. And work on the last card. I really love this card. I thought it was really fantastic. And I saw a lot of possibilities with it. I thought it was a lot more fun to put together than I originally was afraid it would be. And I think with practice, it'll become like second nature to you. So those were our 2 cards. Now, last card. This is the card that we're going to be creating. And it opens from the top, but side of it is glued down. It's just a little different. Making use of the beauty of the paper and making use of some of the textured note dies that the layers. The gold just kind of sets it off. And then I had some die cuts I got from, I'm going to say Rocking Horse Christmas. I don't think that's quite right, but it was an older set I had, and they had these little berries and holly leaves. And I just thought that, oh, and it had the little teddy bear too. And I just thought it was a nice addition. I liked the card, but I wanted to show you more because here's the same layout, also done for Christmas using the Regal Winter paper. I just added the paper and added the sending Christmas cheer sentiment, and still from our family to your family. It just went together so well. I just really enjoyed it. And then this other one I did for a birthday card. And again, the same Regal Winter paper, just a different layout. I added a butterfly and some embellishments and, the sentiment inside. So I just want you aware, again, I give you the layouts, but you can take and expand it to what you have and use it for what you need. This card won't take long. I got to get my set though. Okay. All right, so the card base that you have is a standard card base. And what we are going to do is we are going to use our paper trimmer. Okay. And we are going to cut it. I'm double checking the width. An 1/8 inches. So I'm using the measurements on this side. I'm going to over to 1 1/8 inches. My cutting blade is up top here. I want it to stop there. So I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to hold. Okay, number one, I'm going to make sure that it's in evenly at the top. And let's make sure I've got the right. Okay, 1/8 right there. Okay. And then I'm going to hold it down. And I'm going to bring it down. And then you see this little line across here? That should be about the middle part. If you want to check where you are, that's how you can do it. Just peek. And I did it already. So we're done. We're going to glue this. Well, actually, I think what we'll do before we glue it, it's a little easier to see if it's separate. I'm going to add this piece here. And again, a narrow 1/16 border. So we're just going to do that real quick. It's hard to glue down the pretty side of the paper, but sometimes that contrast is what you need to make the card really stand out. Okay. And now we're ready to glue down this side. And I'm just gonna glue it down. Okay. And then we're ready to put this on this side. Again, a narrow 1/16 inch border. I got glue on my fingers. Got to get rid of the glue. Okay. Now we're going to take and we're going to stamp our sentiment. I'm using Real Red. And let's see. I think it's this one. Yeah. Sending Christmas Joy. Whoop. Upside down. There we go. Again, cleaning it. I'm especially diligent when it's the red because that's what stains. Doesn't affect the stamping. It just makes it a little harder for me to see. Okay, now somewhere around here I have a, there it is, a gold die cut. I'm going to take and glue this down flat on the gold die cut. centering it. Top and bottom, side to side. Okay, I'm going to let that dry for a bit because when I go to add the sentiments, I may have a problem. All right, now for this, let's see if I have it still set up. I think I do. Okay, this is my wonderful Stamparatus. It's a positioning tool. I absolutely love it. I use it all the time. Let's see how the other one looked. Okay, I might want it up a little bit higher. Set it on that line. Okay. And then I'm using, let's see, I think I used Real Red. Yeah, Real Red again. Wherever I put it. Oh, it's so fun. Okay. I know I had it. You guys saw me have it. Where did I put it? Okay. That's not the right color. It's right here in front of me because I haven't gone anywhere. No, 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 no. Okay, it got me. See, this is the problem with crafting. I probably covered it over with something. Moved it out of my way. Did I put this? I may have to get rid of. Well, because I'm using the Coastal Cabana, or no, this is Pool Party. No, I don't want to do that. Well, I will find it as soon as I decide I'm not going to look for it anymore. Okay. Not exactly the right color, but I think it's close enough. Let's double check that. I'll show you one of my little tricks for double checking things. I just used it too. Huh. Okay. As you all know, we end up with a lot of scraps. Let's not go see if I want. This is the one I want. And one of the things I do with my scraps is I will use them to determine if the color's close enough. Actually, that one works pretty darn good. Okay, so while I used Real Red in this case, since I seem to have misplaced my stamp pad, I am using Sweet Sorbet, which is close. And I'm going to ink up the stamp. And I'm going to bring it over and stamp it down. And bring it up. And that's dark enough. I like it. We're going to go call it good. And I'm going to take and I'm going to clean this. And I'm going to call us good here. Put my separators away. And I will discover and probably laugh when I find where it was I put the stamp pad that I was just using. Okay, now the cards had a chance to set. I'm going to be putting this in here, but I also want to apply this and I want to decorate it. And it's had a chance to set up. So now we're going to open this packet. And this packet is designed to hold securely all these little decorations. Now, with my original card, okay, I think I want to use crumb cake. Okay, with my original card, I used just regular red cardstock. But I decided it's Christmas, I want to go fancy. And so what I did was I used some foil berries, which is fun. For the inside of the card, I'm going to take and I'm going to use the fine tip of crumb tape blend marker, and I'm just going to fill in some of the details of the bear. Make sure you can see that. It just adds a little extra. I'm using dark crumb cake in this case. I use regular crumb cake paper. And then it lightens up as it dries. So it's not quite as dark, but it adds a little extra detail. Okay. Now, for the front of the card, I'm going to put that down here for right now, but for the front of the card, I'm going to take and I'm going to put these on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a dot of glue. And I'm going to add this here. And use my take a pick to try to position it. And here. Okay, and then I'm going to take and put another dot of glue right on the edge of that. And here's where I use a take a pick to pick up the berries, the berries. Oh, come on. It helps if you just pick it up off to the side so you can kind of grab it with your fingernail or something else to position it where you want it to be. Okay, now that's for the decoration for the front of the card, but I'm going to be adding some dimensionals to that. For inside the card, I'm going to add a dot of glue again. And then I'm going to add this. Remember, the smooth side is the top side. Okay, I want to turn that a little bit. Okay. Oh, I did that wrong. I wanted to go this way. Another thing good about the glue is it doesn't dry immediately, so you can have some correction time that way too. Okay, there. And then a dot of glue. And pick up one little piece here and use it to apply there. Okay, now teddy bear. Teddy bear. I only wanted one little leaf. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to put a dot of glue, actually 2 dots of glue, one for the leaf and one for the berries. And one for the berries. Okay, teddy bear is decorated. He's going to go down here. Got to add some more glue to the back. I think it'll be easier if I hold on to it this way. And I'm avoiding areas that might have, because of the die cutting process, some holes. I'm going to put him down here. Okay, now that's secured. This one's dry, so I'm going to add the dimensionals now. You have a couple extra leaves if you want to hold on to them. Okay. Oh, I like it ever so much better with the foil berries. Oh, much better. And that's what happens as you make these cards. You finally find a point where, oh, yeah, I like that better. And you go with it. But you don't know until you try. And that's what it's about. All right. Now we're ready to put the inside in. I hope I haven't been going too fast for you guys, but I wanted you to be able to not spend all morning because I know that we always have plenty to do. Again, a narrow 16th inch of a border. I thank you for joining me today. Whoops. And I hope you enjoyed these cards as much as I enjoyed making them. And happy Christmas to all. Let's get them out there and share the joy. There we go. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful Christmas. And I hope that, this is my last class for the year, and I've already got some ideas going for next year. I haven't settled them down, but you pick up a few tips as you go. Anyway, there's the two cards, and you can see the different. Well, there we go, and you can see the difference maybe in the light with the foil berries. It just makes that little bit of a difference. Anyway, Merry Christmas to all. Thank you for coming. Like and share. It's all helpful to me. Appreciate your attention. Thanks. Bye. Well, let's see. I did something wrong here. Let's see if I can figure out how to get out. Uh-oh. Well, let's see. This may go on longer than I count. There we go. There we are. Now I end the stream. Have a good day.